just in the spirit of reconciliation, I want to acknowledge that we are on the homeland of the many diverse First Nations and Métis people whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. With that, we'll move to adoption of the agenda. We have a few additions to the agenda. First addition is the scheduled delegation, 2.1.2, which is Friendship Center, NEMA, and Concerned Citizens. And we also have another 8.1 amendment to the fees. So we have those two additions to the agenda. Councilor Wakefield.
I'd like to add 6.2 stars.
Okay. And we talked before, anything we add to sort of like that is going to be immediate, and this one is immediate, that has to be dealt with. Okay, so let's stars now. Yep. Something else you missing? 17. Oh, yes, yeah. Yes, after we have the CEO review, which would be confidential items that. All right, anything else? Seeing none, anybody want to make the motion with those amendments? Councilor Wago.
As amended.
All right, all in favor? Carried. All right, well, we'll move on to our scheduled delegations. And just, we'll get you to come up to the front. We have a mic here, we'll turn it on for you. And just so that you know, we record these, this is all being recorded, so people on the internet land will see you if they so desire. So we usually start with an introduction of yourselves and your name, so that you know who you are and why you're here. And just so you know, we usually try to keep scheduled delegations down to 15 minutes or thereabouts. Will that work for you?
Yes.
Perfect, okay.
Sorry.
Just, you can leave it on.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dylan Young. I'm the project director for the Triangle Water System Expansion Study. Work with McIntosh Perry as a project manager / project director there. And this is my colleague.
Horace Wadman, the engineer on the project.
All right, thank you for that. And so with that, you can get started, I guess.
So we competed for the proposal for this project, and we were the successful proponent, which was administered primarily through the MDSOT. And our mandate was to evaluate options, service delivery options to get water to the Triangle area, which encompasses Highway 2A, Highway 2, and also 747 towards Sunset House. And we're currently in the document gathering and information gathering phase, where we meet with various stakeholders to identify possible solutions to get water to these various locations. And the intent is to knock on every door to see if the various municipalities, counties in the surrounding area have the capacity and the interest in partaking in this project. So we've met with, we began with MDS Smoky to begin our initialization meeting. Subsequently, we met with the Smoky River Water Commission, MDF Greenview, MD of Big Lakes. We've had a meeting with the town of High Prairie, just Mr. McKinnon and Vern, and they've indicated that any sort of involvement with this project from the town of High Prairie's perspective would require obviously council's approval. And throughout our journey, we realized that a lot more people needed information and needed to be involved earlier in the stage so that they can provide buy-in and they're aware of what our processes are and what would be required. So essentially, because you're one of the closest municipalities to the service area, so our intent was to have a conversation to see if you have the capacity or the interest to service these 200 or so residents surrounding Triangle, MDS Smoky along the highway route, and getting a water point so that those in Sunset House can also access. So we're still in the preliminary stages. This is going to take another 18 months or so. So stakeholders who we've spoken to have shared past studies, past plans, and we're just gathering and evaluating those documents and trying to see which is the most cost-effective and efficient way to carry this project forward.
All right, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit, I have a question, just who contracted you? Who were you under contract with?
We're under contract with the MD of Smoky River,
Okay.
but it's a collaboration between them and the MD of Big Lakes and the MD of Greenview. So we do correspond frequently enough with three stakeholders from each of those municipalities: Roger Audio, Ian Kosh, and Kevin Sembala. And we have a working relationship with the Smoky River Water Co-op. We are their engineer of record. And Morris has a working relationship, past relationship with the Smoky River Water Commission. And in our previous roles, we've done a lot of water-related projects in the Big Lakes County and High Prairie area, Prairie Echo, Canoso, and so forth. So at the end of the day, our boss is essentially Ian Kosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. I get a better picture then.
Yeah.
And so the ask, or what you're looking for, is if we're interested and if we have the capacity. And I mean, that's something we'll have to chat about. Like as a council, we don't know for sure what our capacity is, but the interest is, how many people are you looking at? You said 200 people and.
Between 200 and 250, that was a number given to us in the terms of reference, right? So we're currently trying to get a compilation of a list of those interested parties. So far, we've gotten the names and the land location of the Triangle area because they themselves are a delegation. And we have to figure out who the remainder of those residents are. So we looked at this project from a broader scope in the sense that we conceptually had an idea of how it could work in our minds, but because once this project is submitted, there's going to be a grant application, and to be, I guess, considered or to be a more robust report, we have to show consideration for various options, and that we've done significant research and not just regurgitate what someone else has done. Most recently, the Smoky River Water Commission consulted M2 Engineering to prepare a report on how to service their system because they have an aging water intake and they have an aging water treatment plant. So they went down that rabbit hole to explore what would be required to get them up to current standards and what the costs associated with that would be. So we have one person's perspective of how to address that particular water treatment plant and that system. And we are just trying to just come up with the most sound way. And the reason we are meeting with you is to garner interest essentially, because if this is something that you would not entertain, then this, at least we know that that door is closed. And then that's one, I guess, one municipality or one avenue that we can eliminate.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I'll throw it open to see if there's any questions from our council and go from there.
So I just want to get a better understanding of this, because you're mixing two municipalities. Are you looking to extend the Smoky River Co-op and the County of Big Lakes Co-op? Like, would it be two different systems, or would it be one system connecting all these residents?
We're looking at both, but separately, like, no way, if the water source came from they would supply the three counties. Or another option is if water comes from the Blair system and they supply all three counties. They're looking one water seller to three counties.
Okay, Councillor Danaka.
And you may not know this at the time, but just because of our location to Triangle, and we supply Gilwood and other, the highway there, is High Prairie sort of being proposed as the main water supplier? Or are you looking at High Prairie being the main water supplier?
The way I'm looking at it, it's also the cheapest option.
Right.
If they don't need, so you guys don't need a ton of upgrades to the water plant to supply that water, or if you need new intake, so that's the information for us to compare costs. We need to know what steps will be necessary to get the water from High Prairie and then ask you for that. It is a little early in the process because we don't know everything that High Prairie needs right now to supply 200 more people that are comfortable. You mentioned the M2 study, and we have a bit of an idea of what that other county needs. And like I said, we are looking into even the higher options, new water from Northern Sunrise County.
So to echo what Laura is saying, from an engineering standpoint, when we think about High Prairie, we lick our lips because like that's delicious. Because if you were the solution to the problem, you probably did the most cost effectively because of the proximity to the service delivery area. Essentially.
Okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna give a comment off the top of my head and I know, intake for us is an issue, right? We're pulling water out of the river and, that river volume seems to be getting less and less over the years. So that would be our concern, and I'm sure Bill and Vern have talked to you about our big water plant upgrades. So in terms of that, I would think that we should be able to handle that if we can get a water source. So that would be my biggest issue, is to figure out, how much extra volume that's needed. And I mean, just with our existing citizens, and there's concerns over you know, the water source. So that would be, from my perspective, an issue is to make sure we'd be able to have enough water supply for who we currently have on and then anybody extra.
Right, and so that has been the common theme. Issues with water intake and upgrades of the water treatment plant. Those are the most true recurring issues / problems, if you will.
Okay, did you have something to add to that?
I guess, we invited them here because at the end of the day, they've been commissioned by another municipality, but obviously our municipality may be key to the solution for it. And as the mayor's alluded to, we did outline our concerns. I guess the biggest reason why it's here is staff would like some direction before we proceed to participate in the data gathering, the analysis and the like. So at this point, it's really a data analysis gathering to provide the external consultants with the data. And there's no commitments from the town attached to that part of it, but it will require staff time to work and get the data and get the background studies and evaluate what the physical plant would need if volumes were to be increased and the like. So it's premature yet to say, like, we're not suggesting council is in a position to say yay or nay, but there's significant baseline data that's required to look at various options. Once it's further down the road, I'd imagine there will be a preliminary analysis of what may come out of it. So one of the things that may come out of it is, like, look at regionally, we have to deal with the water supply side of it before we deal with the distribution side. And that may change the focus of where the study is actually going and the intent. Because if you don't have supply, it's kind of hard to distribute. So anyways, I'll turn it back to the deputies.
Yeah, and so exactly what Mr. McCann was just saying. We're trying to, I guess, get more granular. Right now, we have to start with, I guess, a wide net, collect as much information as you can, analyze the data, and at that point, we can come up with a couple of alignment options, and then we can look into, you know, having some idea or indication of where it costs.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm just trying to think of a process because of the timing and everything around it. Normally, with any scheduled delegations, we don't usually make decisions, you know, at this particular meeting. But I know we don't meet again until January. And so I'm just thinking, because this is just an approval to say, okay, staff can work with you on some issues, right? It's not, I guess I would just ask for, is there anybody that would be against getting some baseline data and seeing if we can accommodate that request? Is there anybody against that? Because we need more data to make a good decision at the end of the day, right? We can't make a decision now, but to say, yeah, go ahead, gather some more data and bring it back, and we would certainly entertain it if it's feasible.
Yeah, that's all. You know that everyone's got their own budgets, and essentially, we are just here to collect as much information as we can, and we're not expecting a year or maybe or something like that. It's just we wanted to come in front of council and basically let you know what we're doing, what our intent is, and what kind of information will support us in our endeavor to deliver this project successfully, really.
All right, we had another question, Councillor Ishishin.
Not so much as a question, I was just going to say I really appreciate the awareness and the understanding of the project is, like you say, quite broad at the moment, and be very interested to know where you move forward from here, and more information for sure would be very good to see where you go with that. Thank you.
right, is there any other questions or comments? Motion or no? No, you got enough direction there to, okay, we're good. Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much for coming in,
Thank you
keeping
for
us
having us.
abreast, and good luck with your data gathering. Thanks. All right, we have our second scheduled delegation, can come on up now. And I'm not sure who's speaking on behalf of the group, or if you're all speaking, so maybe we need to do some introductions, that would be great.
Good evening, everyone. Everyone knows me, Carol Hanlon from the High Prairie Friendship Center. This is Sheila Brest, concerned citizen, but she's also recently part of the board of directors at the Friendship Center. And April Isidore, another concerned citizen. Unfortunately, the other two people that we had been meeting with aren't available tonight, but they did help, like we did have a meeting. There was 5 of us, concerned residents and organizations, we got together to discuss the displaced people in High Prairie. We discussed the Facebook posts regarding concerns about the post office and banks closing their doors early in the evening, preventing a lot of people from getting to the bank machine, and also getting their mail, especially people who work out of town and don't get back until, by the time they get back to town from work, the post office is now locked. And the many who wrote comments about the needs for a homeless shelter in High Prairie. That was all on a number of Facebook posts recently on the High Prairie discussion page. So we understand that we do have homeless people in High Prairie that utilize these spaces to keep warm or even to sleep. We would like to have a cooperative solution that benefits the community and those affected by not having a shelter here. What we are looking for from the town is 1, zoning details, 2, what the town of High Prairie is willing to do to support this initiative, and also, if possible, a list of spaces that we may look at to house the displaced people. So our group discussed both short-term and long-term solutions. Our short-term solution is to have maybe a warming station. We've been lucky so far, and the weather has been really good, but we know that's not going to last. January is probably going to hit us real bad. So a warming station, we could look at possibly a building or a bus that's donated, but we're also open to suggestions, any suggestions that the council may have. Our long-term solution is to have a shelter. That would mean the group applying for grants, receiving donations, or even fundraising if we have to. All the parties involved are willing to submit joint grant proposals, and we would welcome a town representative to be active in our group. We are looking for a mutually beneficial partnership to ensure the displaced people in High Prairie have a safe, warm place, and the citizens of High Prairie have their post office and banks back so they can access those institutions after hours. So that's kind of what we're doing here, and we're looking for some suggestions, or like I said, the zoning would be a big one. So I'm not sure if High Prairie, if anybody has ever entertained the idea of having a homeless shelter here, or what the zoning bylaws would be if we wanted to proceed with that. Because I know there's a lot of funds available right now for homeless shelters, but like we discussed last week, there's no point us filling out applications and requesting funding if the town would not, even entertain the notion of having a homeless shelter here. So that's what we're doing here.
Okay, yeah, well, thank you for that, and you're right, it is an issue with our banks and the post office being closed, and need to find a solution to that. There's no doubt about that, right? That's certainly a need in the community and something that people are wanting. And appreciate having some ideas coming forward, that's great, yeah. I'll throw it open if anybody's got questions or comments for delegation. Councillor Stenhouse.
Thanks for your presentation. So what are your, what's the difference between the warming station and the homeless shelter?
Well, the warming station would be where people can just go in, especially during the day. They could go in and have a coffee, a hot meal, even just to warm up. They might go in there and need a pair of mitts or a scarf or a pair of boots. This shelter, I believe, is more more long-term. A shelter, I could see doing programming in a shelter, having the same ideas, but them also having a place to sleep. Right now, I know, and unfortunately Robin couldn't make it, there's probably about 4 or 5 people, I believe she said, that sleep at the Mita Center right now, but like when the nights get too cold, but they can't be there all day as well. So right now they have a place to go sleep, but when it's 30 below in the afternoon, they have nowhere to go. So a warming shelter would be more for that, or it could even be a vehicle where somebody's driving around providing, if somebody's getting too cold outside and they want to sit in a vehicle for 20 minutes and warm up and have a coffee, that would be more like the warming shelter part of it.
So when you say you're looking for town involvement, what exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for funding? Staffing?
We're looking for it all. Whatever the town is willing and able to assist us with, especially a town representative. We're not, I guess, not at the point of, until we know about zoning, we're not at the point of being able to apply for any funding for a shelter. But eventually it'll probably come down to looking for some funding. But right now it's more either a location, town involvement, like a town rep, and any ideas that you guys might have that we haven't thought of.
So let's say you would apply for this and get it, shelter is built. Would this be a continuous commitment on the province or federal government, or would that fall back onto the town?
That part I don't know yet.
Okay, anyone else? Councillor Waco.
So you'd be using, I'm assuming, volunteers to start with? Staffing is gonna be an issue, be it a shelter, be it a warming station. What's your plan there?
That would be part of the funding, right? You would put that in the funding for
Yeah.
the costs to hire somebody. Because what we like at the detox right now, they're kicked out at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they're only allowed there at 7 o'clock at night. maybe 6 on colder nights. But in that time, what we thought of was some kind of programming that, you know, for them to do during the day to keep them out of the cold and stuff, but that was one of the things that we had talked about was somebody who's gonna like volunteer or who's gonna volunteer, but that would be included in what we're gonna, like when we apply for funding, that would be included in there. And this way, it's not like somebody's not gonna feel, you know, the burden of having to do it, but at least we can give them compensation to help out, right?
How many people are we talking about here? Like, what are the numbers?
I think right now we might have about 5 people.
Like in the whole town, there's 5 displaced people that are,
At the most, I don't think it's
From the stats, from the ones who go stay at the Meta Center at night, and from the people who come into the Friendship Center during the day, I'd say there's probably 5.
and are there, like, I know you mentioned the Friendship Center, like, there's lots of agencies in town. Do any of these agencies already have programs that maybe fill some of these gaps right now, or is it just sort of a patchwork that people are slipping through the cracks?
Well, I think, I don't know how to say it. I think if we knew a lot of why these people are displaced and what has to be done to change that, but to actually sit down and work with some of these people and get to the rest of the story is sometimes challenging. I don't know. I just, like, we all got together because we saw the Facebook post about the need for a shelter in High Prairie and the post office and the banks, like that's causing a big ruckus in High Prairie. We don't have all the answers. We just had a meeting and we thought, okay, we have to start by coming to the town. So we don't have all the answers.
So basically finding out what we're allowed to do and if you guys have any suggestions as to what we could do. Because we talked about different scenarios, we talked about like having a warming bus that somebody would, you know, but to find the bus, whether it's donated or what, but to just pick them up, drive them around and give them something to eat in the meantime, you know. Something that's immediate for now until we can figure out what we're gonna do in the long term.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Shishin.
I was just gonna say, and thank you for your concern. It is a concern, absolutely, and something that be nice to find a solution for sure. And I've been learning a little bit more and more as some of the options and, you know, what some of the successes or not successes, I guess, in some of the other communities, you know, that have, you know, the same situation. Maybe there's more displaced or homeless in some of the communities. So I think it really differs or it varies. It's interesting to hear that there's, you know, about 5 you're saying or so. What are the options? You're seeing a bus, excuse me. And I was looking at some of the options I had seen in some communities, and I think around maybe Edson, Hinton, was like warming pods that somebody can go in and just warm up when they need to, instead of maybe going into, you know, the banks or the post office or something. But it's a shelter that, you know, that would provide that period of time that, you know, that you need. It's, you know, evening or the nighttime is one thing, but it could be really cold during the daytime too, for sure, with no shelter at all. So, you know, I don't have a solution by any means, but, you know, there definitely might be some options out there. And, you know, if there's, you know, yourselves that is looking to find that solution, well, that's great to see. And where I guess we can fit in is you know, is something to learn maybe and see where to go from there.
just, you guys are just kind of a new group, just kind of pulling together, and that's great. What do you foresee as how often you'd meet and go about this? What would be the need from, somebody from council going there to meet with you and have some input to do that sort of thing? How often would you guys meet or think you'll meet?
I'm not sure, probably, like right now, probably maybe twice a month. And then once we start getting more established and get things rolling, it might turn out to be every week. It might turn out to be once a month.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured. Weren't sure yet because it is new, but, I'm just trying to think of how, something to add? Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is April Isidore. I run Welcome's Outreach, and a friend of mine on a nation started out a warming station using a van. So how that works is we drive around, and not only is, well, our program is designed to address the issue with surrounding people who are addicted to meth. So it's not only homelessness, but the warming station provides that similar service because it is a minute group of people, and it's basically to engage and find out, like Carol had mentioned, some situations that lead to where they are now. So this program that we started is this new, maybe a month, but it runs weekly for an hour or two. And since it started, there's more people that are willing to volunteer, say if we want to extend the hours, and it does get colder, so I don't see that being an issue in this bigger town. There's also people that contribute food and cook from other neighboring towns to support the program and donate like hats and stuff. So I guess my question is, do you have money like to
I can answer that one.
to kind of do that? Because if there is, like, I could see it being, like she said, a quick fix, because it's already being kind of started somewhere else. And yeah, I know, like something like a shuttle, a DATS handicap bus, because it has that open part in the back, and then the wheels, the seats fold up and go against the wall. So then there's that space for 4 or 5 people to, hang out or whatever until it gets cold and darker to go to the meetup. So it's a time filler, and throughout the day, like Carol had mentioned, and it's something to fill the time when the Friendship Center is closed on the weekends, and they can't go there, and they have to wait until the meetup opens to go there. So if you know of any churches that might be available to start up, that could be an option too. Like, I'm just putting it out there. I don't know. Yeah. So that's kind of my little tidbit I need to add.
Well, you can say that we did not have any money in the budget for this at this point in time. So that part I can answer. Number 2, I don't know about the churches either. And your other thing is, does the town have a DATS bus? No, the town does not have a bus in its fleet. So, those things make it a little more challenging right off the bat, and you're looking for other ways and people that can drive it, but hopefully we could find some volunteers. But something we can certainly look at exploring and finding out some more and getting, I think it's, like I say, it's a very complex issue and how do you solve it in the long run? And, you know, what can we do in the short term to try and help solve that problem? Because we know that some of the people won't use those facilities anyways. They want to find their own route, right? And, you know, they would rather sleep in the foyer of the bank than go to the Métis Center and, you know, things like that. So there's lots of challenges that need to be looked at, but I think the town would be willing to help work with you to look at them, right? I think that's something we can commit to at this point and see how we can do it. So perhaps you could, you know, I'm not sure when you're meeting next, but share a next meeting date and we can discuss, you know, among council who might be interested and go from there. Councilor Martins.
Good evening, Sheila, April, Carol, thank you for coming in and thank you for the thought that you put into this. I think that, you know, you've banded together and at least brainstormed. You mentioned at the very beginning, Carol, that there were 5 organizations or groups. So there's the Media Center, there's a Friendship Center, who are the other 3?
So with April and the Children's Resource Council, was at our meeting, and the Mita Center.
Okay, and so have you engaged any other stakeholders besides the town? Are there any businesses in town or any other local stakeholders that you may have spoken with?
No, not yet.
Okay, and while you were brainstorming, were there any, like these are all great things and you're right, there's a need that you're trying to address, or did you look at the other side? Like, were there any, you know, disadvantages to this, or was it all?
Well, no, we discussed some pros and cons, and part of it was getting the citizens of High Prairie on board. I know some people would be against the possibility of putting a shelter in High Prairie, but that's where, I guess, after we find out more about the zoning, then that would be our second step, is to find out what High Prairie thinks of the idea. I know the majority of the town of High Prairie, what their decision would be about this may be different than what we see posted on the High Prairie discussion page as well. Like, that's only a handful of people who express their concerns, but I know since they had to start shutting all those businesses down, so again, the banks and the post office especially, that's had a real negative effect. So I think people would be happy to have that back at least.
All right, well, thanks for coming in and thanks for, you know, thinking on this issue, because it is an issue, but, I don't, like I said, I don't know if there's any easy answer, but, and in the long run, what's the best way, and short run, and what can we do? So,
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, I know we have a few other guests with us today. I don't know if anybody wants to come up as a public delegation and would like to address council. No, don't see anybody. Okay, then we'll move on then to item 3.1, which is our fire chief's report. Can I get a motion on this one?
Yes, I'll move that council receive the fire chief's November 2023 report for information.
All right, thank you for that. And I guess I'll turn it over to the chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a couple things to highlight, I guess, if you want. In the report that I attached or sent out, you can see our statistics for the operational year. Again, our operational year goes from December 1st, 2022 to November 30th, 2023. and it has the statistical information on there that's accumulated over that time period. Just an update from our food drive on Sunday. We managed to amass just under 800 pounds of food for the food bank. So I had a number of members that were out there in force trying to encourage people to donate to the food bank over the festive season. Just a couple other things too. I will be posting as a reminder to residents of the town that fireworks are not allowed within the town confines. So I'll be advertising that out. Hopefully it will bring that to light. And if people want to do fireworks, they are more than welcome to apply for a permit and go into the County of Big Lakes. I would like to sort of express concern over fireworks at this stage of the game because, as you know, it is very dry outside. Even though it is December, there is burnable product out there until we get snow covered. And just encourage everybody over the festive seasons to keep fire smart or fire safety at their forefront of all the activities that are taking place. And I submit my report to council, and I'm open to questions.
All right, thank you. Council, any questions, comments? Councillor Stenhouse.
So with your food bank drive, do you find it was up, down, or the same from previous years?
Unfortunately, I was not able to attend because I was ill, but from all accounts from Kim, we were definitely down. Last year, we were about 1,200 pounds of product, and this year, like I said, we were just under 800. So it was down a little bit this year. Yes.
And just one more question on the people with fire pits. So their permit allows them to have fires year-round?
Yes.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? No, I have, I guess, a couple of comments, and I just wanted to say, like, I've heard really good things about the Christmas celebration that the fire department hosted, so congratulations on that. It seemed to go over really well. And number two is, I guess, when you do your messaging, I know we always used to remind them about the Christmas trees when they're done, just to make sure that they dispose of them properly.
I can add that as well.
Yeah. And anyone else? No? Okay, well, thank you very much for your report. Good work out there. We had a motion to receive it for information. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to item 5.1, the minutes from November 28th. Motion on this one? Councillor Waco.
Will we accept as presented?
Okay. Is there any errors or omissions in the minutes people see? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Moving on to item 6.1. Sorry?
2 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we have the November 30th minutes. I missed that. Get a motion on the November 30th meeting?
That council, the council approved the minutes from the November 30th, 2023 special meeting of council as presented.
Okay. There's not much to these minutes, so any errors or omissions?
No, there's no minutes there.
Well, they are there, but very, yeah. All right, all in favor? Carried. Thanks for catching that. And then moving to 6.1, the fire account adjustment. Can I get a motion on this one?
Thank you.
Councillor Waco?
Go with option one there, council waive penalties to date, subject to the ratepayer entering a deferment agreement to the satisfaction of administration for a period of up to 24 months.
All right, and this is following up on the delegation that we had last meeting. Talked about. Any questions, comments on this motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Moving on then to 6.2, which is the addition for STARS.
Yeah, STARS had come and seen us earlier in the year, and we sort of deferred that off. We wanted a line item, and we had our budget deliberations on the weekend. Made the decision to take the 5,000 out of our community grant fund and put it towards STARS for 2024. There's more than that left in the 2023 budget. And as such, I would like to move that council take $5,000 from the community grant fund. That's what it's called, right? The right total. And donate that to STARS for the 2023 calendar year.
Okay, thank you for that. Any discussion on this one? Councillor Stenhouse her finger's almost on the button there.
So I just want to clarify, so you want to back pay them for 2023? Is that what you're saying, or back?
Yeah, they had asked us for a donation this year, and we had said, and they wanted stable funding. They wanted us to commit long-term. We weren't ready at that point to do it, and we saw how much came out of the community grant fund this year. There's still money in there, and I would just like to, because we land STARS lots, right?
The stats are right here.
I know.
In your package.
I know, yeah, and, we've put people on STARS, and I don't see big controversy here with helping out an organization that has saved countless lives in our community.
I know I've argued this point many times, and you know how I'm against the donation fund. We have a community, and when I say a community, it's everyone from the ratepayers of the town of High Prairie to the ratepayers of the county that are taxed out, from income tax to municipal tax to GST tax to gas tax. People are tapped out, and if they can afford it and wish to on their own, they are very welcome to write their own personal check. But for us to collect their money and donate it to a charity that we choose, I am still against that.
Councillor Martins?
Thank you. So one of the things, thank you for the introduction, James. One of the things that we talked about when we made the decision for this current, I didn't realize that you were also talking about this going backward into this current year. We made the decision to allocate those funds so that there would be a reduction, right? And I feel like now you're saying that we're going to go back and allocate those funds. It was an agreement with council to have us have input, and I know it was a little complicated, but that was the way it went. So I'd like not to go back on that motion and decision, number one. Number two, we made the decision about STARS because it was pointed out both in this most recent week's budget deliberations and also last year that the province increased funding to the tune of some $1 million+. So that was one thing that was noted publicly as well. And we do contribute via the organization that we're already part of, which is Alberta Municipalities. And I'll echo some of the notes that Councillor Stenhouse has made about, we're collecting taxpayer dollars for community programs. I personally contributed to STARS through lotteries and other things. I mean, I think that onus should be on the ratepayer themselves. So this is going backward. Going forward, the same. I'll put forward the same things. I think that STARS is an integral part of our system of first responders, but there's others. There's a whole continuum, and I think that I'm not sure what amount you're proposing for the following 2024 year.
It was 5,000 that we had, that we had set, that's why I had made the number for 5 for this year, which was a reduction from the 8 that they had asked for.
So no, I don't want to go backward. Going forward, I feel like they're two separate things. I just didn't want to kind of mix them.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, like, going forward, that part's settled. I used that as an example to bring forward what the argument for this year.
Okay, anybody else on this one? Councillor Danaka?
In our budget deliberations, we were deliberating for 2024, not 2023. So personally, 2023 for me is finished. What's in the donation pot is what's left in 2023. 2024, as we're moving forward, that was what our discussion was about, I thought. I don't want to go back to 2023. I want to discuss if we're going to do it in 2024.
We did discuss 2024. I'm saying that I would like to allocate some of the funds from our community grant fund that are left from this year, from this fiscal year, that is there already, just sitting there, to STARS for 2023.
Okay, and go ahead, Councillor. No, go ahead.
Did we not discuss that money going to reserves for starting reserve for our money that was left over? I was going to pick up. I thought that's what we had talked about. Deciding.
Yeah, that is correct. I don't know if we decided that was going to be starting with some of the surplus from 2023 or starting in 2024. In my head, I was thinking 2024 it would start. But maybe people had a different understanding of what we were talking about with those other budget discussions. So, yeah. For myself, I'm also of the opinion to leave it for this year. It's not going to, STARS isn't going to stop flying because of that for our contribution. And I know we need to carry over some of those any surplus that we do have goes into our restricted accounts or restricted surplus accounts, and I know we've got many uses for those in the upcoming year. So that's where I'm at. I think STARS is wonderful. I'm glad we're looking at them in the future, but to go back, I think we can use that internally for now. Councillor Ishishin.
I was just gonna vote, but, no, my understanding was it was for 2023, so I'd rather know.
Okay, we've all had a chance to talk. We have a motion to donate $5,000 to STARS for 2023. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Dunn, I didn't see your vote. You're on mute, so I didn't hear you there.
Well, I'm a little confused, so I
Oh.
thought it was 2024 we were voting for, like 2023.
Yes, yeah, that was Counselor Wakel's motion was to donate 5,000 from this year's budget. Okay, what's your vote on it? Just quick. For or against? He's a for, okay. Yeah, well, he gave a thumbs up and a for, so he was voting for doing the donation, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, the motion still will not pass, it's defeated. Okay, so we can move on to item 8.1. It's the amendment, which is the amendments to fees, the fee bylaw for. And can we get a motion on this one? Councilor Martins?
I'll move the council for first readings of bylaw 10/2023, amendment to the fees bylaw this 12th day of December 2023.
I'm going to ask our CEO to lead us through this one because I haven't had time to read it either. So maybe you can just take us through this so we know what's, I think I know what it is with the changes that we talked about, but maybe you can lead us through.
Through the chair, on Saturday, administration went through a series of rates and fee changes. This is reflected of the discussion that occurred last Saturday. There's no new information other than the water rate. Bulk water rate was adjusted in 2022. Wasn't reflected as well as it should. So I've amended the water rate from, it was proposed going from 525 to 575. It is actually 550. So the recommendation in this report is it goes to $6 a cube. And that was on the information presented on Saturday where the county is currently at $7 a cube. They will be adjusting their rates in January, and other neighboring municipalities were close to $10 a cube. As council is aware, there's been numerous improvements made in our bulk water system, and a minor adjustment. All other items were the items that were discussed on Saturday, and I believe those were the consensus of council. I'm just bringing it forward so we can amend it so they're in place. We publish the fees bylaw twice a year, once in January and once in June. These would then get in. If council doesn't deal with it tonight, the report will have to be brought back, and then it just creates additional confusion because then we're going to have mixed dates of when the fees are effective. So they are not effective to the bylaws approved. So if council doesn't deal with it till the budget's approved, then we're looking at a March or April implementation date. So from an administrative perspective, it's been best practice, I guess, to say, okay, we're going to publish the rate schedule in January. If council deals with any further rate amendments during the course of the year, then we'll republish the schedule in June. But it's really council's wish. But again, it's these were the items we went through on Saturday.
Okay, Councilor Martins.
So, thank you, Bill. I fully recall the administrative fees, the campground fees, the public works, discussion around that. I don't recall fire protection being in that discussion, just because I feel like I'm seeing it for the first time. Am I the only one that feels that way? Or?
Well, perhaps I can provide clarification.
Okay.
So when we were discussing the rates and fees, I advised that council that we would be adjusting the fire rates as per the transportation schedule. So what you'll see in this proposed bylaw change is we don't put a rate in because Alberta Transportation could change the rate 2 or 3 times during the course of the year. So these reflect the current rates that are billed out and we're allowed to bill out related to Alberta Transportation. So that was verbally said. The rates, again, are variables, but for instance, the 630 rate has been at $700 for the last few months. But council, like our rates and fee bylaw has not recognized that change. So it's preferable in these type of bylaws if we have a standard, which is the transportation rate. We just refer to the transportation rate and whatever the schedule is at that date, those fees would hold. Other than that, in terms of fire inspections, the issue there was the current bylaw says what we do up to a third inspection, but we have no legal authority to charge for the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th inspection. So the little wording clarification is to keep the fee the same, but charge the same amount for each subsequent re-inspection after the third inspection.
So, yeah, so there are adjustments then, because you're saying the 700 was in place before. The 185 to 205, that's a new change, and then the second,
No. So what I'm saying is our current rates of $330 per unit are reflective of an old Alberta Transportation rate schedule. The new rate schedule is issued randomly by Alberta Transportation, and our current rates do not reflect the rates that are currently in the Alberta Transportation schedule. So yes, it is an increase from 630 to 700, but that is the current rate that is that is under Alberta Transportation. So the whole intent of this part of the bylaw was to keep the rates current with Alberta Transportation. Because we're putting in a fixed dollar amount, we may have to bring back amendments to the bylaw. We would have to bring back amendments to the bylaw every time Alberta Transportation changes their rate. And they generally change it based on the provincial calendar year, which is like April 1st, they'll probably come up with another rate adjustment from the current 700 to a new rate. So again, in order not to bring it constantly back to council, every time Alberta Transportation changes its rates, this is a preferable method. So yes, there is a minor rate increase, but it's reflective of what the transportation billing rate is, and that's the pervasive billing model across the whole province.
Good. Councillor Stenhouse?
So do we not have to give at least 3 months' notice?
No. Depending on the rates, some are effective the date the bylaws change.
And getting back to this surprise section on the fire, you say Alberta
Sorry,
Transportation
Mr.
rate.
Chair, I take offense to that. It's not a surprise section.
We did talk about it at our meeting on Saturday. Yeah, it has been discussed that moving the fire rates to the provincial transportation rate. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the Alberta Transportation rate, and we always follow it, or do we have a choice to follow it?
Council can set the rates at $1 if it wishes. We would have to, obviously, if we're not following those rates, that would have implications on the fire department's budget. So there would be additional rate subsidization required by the taxpayers if this model was not adopted or these rates were adopted. Again, we bill for motor vehicle accidents and we bill out for other, if council doesn't want to recover those costs, so be it.
So was this in the fire budget? Was this increase in the fire budget
The
that
rate,
they reviewed whenever?
the rate increases were not budgeted for. There is a budget estimate in the fire department's budget, but that's highly variable in any given year, given the number of motor vehicle claim accidents and the like. So yes, it's in the budget, and this will not really impact the budget.
that your questions? All right, anyone else? No, my question is that this bylaw will come into effect on third reading. The proposal is to give 3 readings today, meaning that these rates would be changing tomorrow, as opposed to January 1st, which was what I thought we would be doing, is changing these as of the new year.
That is correct, but council can put the effective date being January 1st.
Okay. For me, I think that would be better than changing it tomorrow. Because we had, in our discussions, we talked about, these would be the changes for 2024. So I would make the suggested amendment that under 3.1, this bylaw shall come into force and effect on January 1st, 2024. Now, that was Councillor Martins made the motion, so would you with that amendment? Okay. So, Councillor Martins okay with the amendment? Are other people okay with that amendment? I see nods. Anybody not okay? No. Okay. So we've got a motion as of January 1st, 2024. Any other questions on this before we vote? All right, all in favor? Carried. Anybody want to do second reading? Councillor Waco.
We'll move second reading
With the amendment?
with the amendment.
Okay. Any discussion on this one? Saying none, all in favor? Carried. I'll make the motion that council give unanimous consent to proceed to third and final reading of bylaw 15-2021, this the 12th day of December 2023. I'm getting the bylaw. It is, I'm taking it from the sheet. What is it on this sheet? Oh, it's bylaw 2023, yeah. I'm looking at the bylaw itself. Yeah, no, you're right. On the bylaw itself, the bylaw itself, there's another change there, yeah. So, looking at the bylaw itself, not the request for decision, but looking at the bylaw under that council give consent to proceed, it does say 2021, so there was an error there. It should be 2023, and I read the error.
Bylaw 10, 2023.
And no, it should be bylaw 15, 20, no, 10, 2023, yeah, sorry, okay. Yeah. Okay, just so we're clear then, this would be when I give unanimous consent to proceed to third and final reading of bylaw 10-2023, this the 12th day of December 2023. See, those are the little things you got to watch for as you're doing these now, right? Well, this will be a bylaw in 2023 that'll come into effect in 2024. Okay, any questions on that motion? This motion, okay, yeah.
So the RFD says amendment to the fee 01-2022. We are making motions on 010-2023.
So just for clarification through the chair, what council is doing is dealing with bylaw 10-2023, which is amending bylaw 01-2022. So that bylaw is the rates and fee bylaw. So that's the current one in place. So we're amending in the current bylaw, but we need a bylaw to amend the current bylaw. So
Yeah.
Okay, now, any other ones on this? This is to proceed to a final reading. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous, that's carried. Anybody want to bring this home? Councillor Ishishin.
The council gives third and final reading to bylaw 10-2023, amendment of fees bylaw this 12th day of December 2023.
All right. All in favor? Oh,
No,
sorry.
we want to include it comes into effect.
Oh,
Yes.
It comes into effect.
well, that is the amendment that we've been dealing with all the way along.
Okay.
But that's in the actual bylaw. We wanted to change to the bylaw. But if you want to add it into the motion, we certainly can.
Yeah, let's put it in the motion.
Okay. So you're gonna say make this with the amendment that the bylaw comes into effect on January 1st, 2024? Okay. All in favor? Carried. Moving on then to the interim budget for 2024. A motion on this one.
Council approved the interim 2023 operating budget as detailed in appendix
2024 budget.
It says 2023.
Yeah, there's an error in the yeah, typo. Okay. Any questions on this one? This is just to make sure we can keep paying the bills for the first 6 months or until we finalize our final operating budget. Seeing no questions, all in favor? Carried. Moving on then to our staff and CAO written report. Motion on this one. Councillor Waco.
Move the council receive CAO Bill McKinnon's report and action list for information.
Thank you. And with that, we'll turn it over to our CAO for any clarifications or updates you'd like to add to this.
again, through the chair, the two big items were meeting with the provincial officials to finalize our disaster recovery claims related to the 2023 wildfires, so that is well in hand. And the other item and subsequent update is we had a debriefing, or I had a debriefing with council, the county staff in regards to 2023 events. We also talked about training activities for 224. Again, that's being done by the joint emergency management coordinating teams. In addition to that, the municipality, town of Slivers Lake, has invited all the area municipalities to participate in a regional emergency management coordinating committee, similar to what Grand Prairie has, which is called GPREP. So there is a greater interest in developing more robust emergency management protocols for the whole region. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you. I'll open the floor for any questions, comments. Councillor Stenhouse?
So in your report, you state there's budget meeting, that you attended budget reviews and recreation and library. Did fire not have a budget review meeting?
Yep, that was in the previous reporting cycle.
Oh, okay.
Councillor Waco?
Weren't we already participating in some sort of joint venture with Slave Lake there, that outfit that Jamie Coots was fronting there with regional fire stuff there? Weren't we already,
Yeah,
or is that different than what this is proposed to be?
no, I can answer that, but because there was a grant that we received along with Big Lakes County that we had applied for to develop that joint emergency management plan. And so that particular grant and plan, it was done, it's finished, that grant. So it would be something different, and it's a broader picture. That grant had us working with the town of Swan Hills and Big Lakes County. Yeah, no, we did have a grant, but,
That's not.
yeah. And this would be, what he's talking about is adding in Slave Lake. And I could see it makes a lot of sense when we had fires like this last year, where you're impacting Slave Lake and us.
It would be actually broader than just Slave Lake. It would include the MD, Lesser Slave, and other potential partners.
Okay. I'm just curious what came out of just on a high level, the disaster recovery program staff that you met with for recovering our costs. Is that all favorable for the town, or are we having to fight? Because I know in previous years we've had to fight for some of the money that we put out.
No, it's going fairly smoothly. The downside with any of the provincial disaster recovery payments now is they will only fund up to 90%. So that was another budgetary downloading the province has. So it will likely be funded to the 90% aggregate, not 100%, which was prior year's protocols.
How can they just make that change without notification?
Because government.
The change was made probably a year ago,
Oh,
and all municipalities were informed at that time of the change in the legislation.
oh, so it was changed before. Okay. I thought they might have just changed it all of a sudden.
No, that was. Yeah, no.
Oh,
I
okay.
remember that.
Okay. And the debriefing session with the county, what's the highlights that came out of that?
The highlights are what everyone is really concerned about. Improvements to communications, improvements to the understanding of the chain of command, improvements to training. What model were we actually running? Was it a joint EOC or was it standalone EOCs? So there's improvements needed in terms of the general protocols. They had a survey done. I participated in that survey. The group will be reconvening to talk specifically about the training activities that will be done over the next 6 months to plan for the next event, so to speak. So again, some of the positive highlights were we're going to be sharing joint templates. So rather than wordsmithing documents and trying to get them out, we'll have a list of 18 type of communications. If it's type A event, it's communication number 4. And messaging and the like. So a lot of time was consumed with the communication and not having materials ready, not getting them out on a timely basis, not necessarily targeting for the right audience. Again, the protocols, once a state of local emergency are called, differ than normal. So there was still lack of understanding of what model the groups were operating under. Was it regular county model? Or was it, once a state of local emergencies declared, then there are certain protocols that should be clear what model in terms of the EOC is being implemented, especially when it involves our joint emergency management protocols. So there was some weaknesses there. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, no, I was wondering if that all got identified and hopefully corrected.
See you at the next event.
Yeah. All right, anything else for SEO? Councillor Shishin?
I just wanted to give a big thanks to Bill, the managers, and all the staff on their time and work on the budget. It's a busy time of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we've got, go ahead, Councillor Martin. Go ahead.
Thanks, Bill. So I was part of the budget library review, so I know how that went, and the committee's recommendations to council. How was recreation and the other one, I guess town budget was asked, but recreation?
Perhaps I could have asked the two council reps on that committee to address it. And I can offer my comments.
Sure. Who's on the budget, recreation budget review?
I think we'll give that in our report. We're actually on the CAO's report right now.
Well, we can also clarify that like it's a question, and we should have some information there. No? Yeah, well, I mean, we did have
I was
the,
on that budget and
for which one?
for recreation,
Recreation, okay.
and it did not pass.
Point of clarification, the budget was recommended to both councils, so the budget is, right, but the committees do not have authority to adopt the budget. They can only pass it on to their respective councils for approval. So I would not say it did not pass as the correct terminology. The joint committees recommended it be recommended for consideration by their respective councils.
Okay, is there who was on the library one?
Yeah, I am. So
Oh.
we did the same thing. We gave support, the town and county representatives to the library budget, but they couldn't pass that. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Anything else for our CAO?
I can only speak for the library review. I know that some of the things, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you after, Bill, but some of the things that came from our librarian were that some issues with the building maintenance internally. That's something that we could discuss at our next, when we do operating, or I'm not sure. We touched upon it with Ms. too, some of those others, but I know she had some specific concerns.
So again, through the chair, I suggested to both the board chair and the administrator of the library, if they did have concerns, they should just contact me and hopefully we can work out those concerns. To date, I have not been contacted by any member of the library administration related to any concerns they have. That being said, council, when it dealt with its budget deliberations on Saturday, did see a preventive maintenance program enhancement specifically targeted for the museum and the library budget. There's some broader issues that were discussed at each of these joint budget committees that really should be discussed under the ICF agreement and are really outside of the purview of the joint budget review committee's mandates to, debate and provide commentary. Likewise, if I could use the library for instance, under the Libraries Act, councils can only amend the aggregate funding level. They cannot direct the library board to change a line item within their budget. There was extensive discussion on line items within the budget. At the end of the day, after extensive discussion, there was still a motion to adopt the budget as presented. So again, it's a give and take in terms of information sharing. But in the case of the library, councils only have the authority to amend the aggregate funding level, not provide direction to the board on the sub-allocations within the budget. So some additional training probably is required going into those meetings next year in terms of, here's the terms of reference, but here's the protocols related to that terms of reference.
I noticed that when we talked on Saturday, we mentioned the HVAC system, and I had a note to say, okay, well, because she wasn't talking about, HVAC is, the plumbing, the sewer, but it felt like it was general maintenance things, and I felt a little thrown out of it. But the town was shirking our responsibility as a tenant, right? So, that was the question.
The board chair, the administrator, and myself will be meeting. They are going to schedule a meeting to discuss those issues. Again, there's always conflict with any of these joint facilities because our other partner says that's the town's responsibility, but it's a joint program. So, what should be in the library budget and what should be funded there? From a practical perspective, if the toilet's clogged, who do they call? Do they call the town staff or for us to call a plumber, or should they have the authority just to call the plumber directly? So, it's those protocol issues that aren't really budgetary issues, but again, the library and the museum do not have the technical staff on site to troubleshoot some of the day-to-day issues that come up related to the maintenance of the facility.
Okay. Anything else for CAO? All right, we had the motion to receive for information. All in favor? Carried? No. Well, that's what I was just going to ask. We've got one more agenda item, which is our reviews, and we could take a break, but I noticed we also have already lost one that had to take a break. So I was thinking perhaps getting our verbal reports done, then we'd take a break, and then we have our confidential item, if that works for people. If you can wait that long, or should we take a break?
No, I'm good.
We're okay? Well, I know you're good now. It's the rest of us we gotta check on, yeah. Okay, yeah, okay. Let's do our reports, and we'll start with Councillor Daneka.
A couple meetings, other than the council meeting on the 28th. We had the fire department budget, which was basically an increase of $4,000 split. Well, $8,000, $4,000 for each town and county. Both the representative council members from the town and county agreed to approve this and bring it back to the council saying as such. As well had the library budget meeting on the 7th. Basically, again, the members of the committee approved the budget as presented to bring back to the respective councils. Attended the the library. The library budget. Then there was the museum general meeting with the museums being closed for basically the month of November. Darlene was able to really work on the collection and catalog and deaccession some items that were of poor quality. Basically, they disintegrated over time, shawls, scarves, other items that were found to have no records, so there's really nothing that she can do with those other than offer them to other museums if they wish. I'm not sure if everybody got the paper, but there was on the back page of the paper was the full page ad regarding the award that they won from the Alberta Museums Association for their Truth and Reconciliation Gallery. Basically, that's basically it for the museum. And lastly, in the light up with a couple hundred of my friends. With the warm weather, there was hordes of people everywhere. I took in the market, which was nice to see. There was hordes of people looking at the different tables, buying their Christmas stuff. So, I mean, it was a great evening to be out, just being out with everybody and enjoying the Christmas lights, et cetera, et cetera. And other than that, I move our reports for information.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Councillor Tanaka? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Councillor Dunn?
I too attended the budget meeting for the fire station. Don did a good job presenting that report, so I have nothing to add to that. And other than that, I present my verbal report for information.
All right. Anything for Councillor Dunn? All in favor? Carried. Councillor Martins?
Thank you. I also enjoyed Light Up, though I thought it was one of the colder nights of our warm kind of weather. I kind of huddled in the freaking vehicle like a little baby. But anyway, moving on, I think we've talked about the budget library review, so I won't touch on that. But I did attend that last week along with Councillor Tanaka. The town contributed to our Elders Banquet that occurred this last Saturday, and it was extremely well attended. I went to help, and the band was fantastic. They had a jigging contest. I mean, did not participate, but I definitely attended, and it was fun. It's a fun night. Two other things. I don't know if any of other councils saw this, but there was a survey that the province put out for the local Elections Act, and they were interested in sort of our take on special ballots, advanced ballots, and the importance of those items. And the second survey was on council accountability, so I kind of completed those before the deadline. And I attended an event, an online event that the mayor actually sent out on municipal-sponsored early learning. Do you remember that? Anyway, he sent it out, so I attended. And a very small number in this province, only 12, actually have municipal-supported early learning. And the reason it caught my attention was because of the talks that have come up very much in our in the committee I chair. That's the Joint Professionals Attraction Retention Mouthful Committee. We've talked about daycare and early learning and those kinds of things, and something that we don't necessarily have in the town of Sudbury. I know the CRC, the Children's Resource Center, is looking at some sort of venues smaller towns, I think Jasper and, a couple of municipalities gave their take on how it's sponsored, where they find the funding, et cetera. One of the things I thought that was kind of cool was how they incented staff in a smaller, like, I felt like we were aligned there, right? I mean, how do you, RCA always said repeatedly, attracting and retaining staff here an issue. So they had some ideas for incentives that I could discuss at another time. But those were some of the things that occurred in this last week. If no questions, I will move my report for information.
All right, thank you. Anything for Councillor Martins? Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried.
Let's go to the bathroom, I can see.
Yeah.
Moving through them.
For my report, we had our budget meetings, also attended Light Up, thought it was great, and thanks to the town and maintenance people putting up the lights, they look great. And the only other meeting I had was an informal meeting, just had a discussion with some of the AHS staff. They wanted to chat about housing for AHS staff, looking for options that might be out there. And one of the things that we kind of came up with, they were going to get some more information on how many might come, but they really want to see our hospital start to get used as a training facility for nurses so that they can come here, but also for physicians where they would come here and do some of their placements. However, they can't really do that because it's hard to find a place to stay, especially on a short term. So we went around a lot of options on what might be out there, and on a short-term solution, what we had suggested is maybe if they could come up with, how many people would be coming, when they would be coming, how long they would be staying, we could then promote that across the community, both us and them, and find some way of linking up these people that might have a room and they would be willing to, rent out a room for one of these, these young doctors or nurses so that they have a place to stay. Because I know there's lots of people in the community that might have a room that's not being used, and if they would be willing to rent it out. But there's no way of knowing when these people are coming, who they are. So trying to come up with a way of connecting these physicians with people that might be interested in hosting somebody. Because I know we have some rooms available. I don't know how many, but if we can get some information, market it and promote it out there, then we can see if we can connect those two parties. And if we can get people to come up here on a short-term basis, I'm confident they'll come back on a longer-term basis once they finish their training. That's really it. Upcoming meetings, we've got the Alberta North Central Alliance coming up on the 19th and Heart River Housing on the 21st. So with that, I will move my report for information, unless there's any questions or comments. All in, yeah, go ahead.
So were you involved in a budget review?
I was not in a budget review, no. All in favor? Carried. All right, Councillor Stenhouse.
So all I have attended so far is the recreation budget review. And as stated before, we didn't give our blessings. We're going to bring it forward for council to approve it.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you want to move your report?
Actually, a shout out to beautification on the light up. And I'll move my verbal report for information.
Okay, anything else? Any comments, questions? No? All in favor? Counselor Wakel?
Attended a library board meeting. Tracy went over some of the concerns. As far as the bathroom maintenance goes, I'll coordinate with them how much they want me to be involved in talking about that with administration. They have some concerns. They showed me their concerns. And, you know, there's some concerns there as far as ongoing maintenance in the bathroom. And then it's, you know, who pays for what, right? Library, upstairs, downstairs, the town, whatever. So there's that. I did not attend the light up. I was getting ready for a hockey game. But on that note, I would like to say that with the fiber optic in the arena now, that Lookout, CBC, Jimmy B, and Crazy James are coming for you, because our last game was our first one that we did with the fiber optic, and the quality, I watched back on the replay, so much better. Just amazing. So much appreciated, and you know, it'll really put our arena and our town on the map when, you know, maybe grandma and grandpa can't come to the game because they're in Okotoks or Pinoka or something like that. They can see little Johnny or little Jane there skating and doing their thing. So much appreciated and long overdue. So yeah, that's my report. I'll move that for information.
All right, anything? No? All in favor? Counselor Yashishin?
I attended our budget and regular council meetings, but one of the meetings was the rec budget meeting, and again, we moved it forward to council, as was said before. The light up was fantastic. I Facebook Lived it, if that's correct saying.
Yep.
And just really enjoyed it. It was beautiful, and it was great to see everybody. And I moved my report.
All right, all in favor? Carried. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll go into our closed session.